Welcome. My name is Scott Grimes, Superintendent of the School District, for those of you that are new to the district. Pretty exciting things going on within the district. One of them is the one-to-one initiative that we have. We'll be starting with our 8th grade this year. A lot of firsts for the 8th grade. They had a first in the new building, first to experience hot lunch in the building, nothing. First to have a fire drill in the building. First to have laptops in the building for the one-to-one. A year ago it was brought up sitting in a board meeting and conversation about presenting the options or thoughts about bringing a one-to-one program to Dallas Center Grimes. At that point I knew that there was a lot of community support, family support, and students knowing that we bring something of this level for our students to prepare them for now as well as for the 21st century. That came with a lot of committee work, conversations, site visits to other districts, as well as a lot of conversations from the school board in questioning of what are the positives, how can this benefit us, and making sure that we're using the technology for the best for the students. At that long year you're going to hear about tonight, the board was able to move forward with the one-to-ones, and this year will be with the 8th grade, next year will be with 8th grade again, and then the following year we'll be looking at rolling out 8th grade all the way through 12th grade. So it's up to this youth, this 8th grade, to kind of give us the indicators of the success of the program, as well as the teaching staff and the parent support. So I look forward to this new adventure for Dallas Center Grimes, and hopefully you're just as excited about it as I am. And someone else very excited about it is Mrs. Phillips, and she'll be next. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I am excited to be part of this effort. We've had a great beginning to the school year. Still a few problems with the lockers, but I think we're getting all those figured out, and we should be ready, ready with lockers by the time they come back after Labor Day. What you see up here is basically the agenda for tonight. It should last about 40 to 45 minutes. After that, you're free to go. However, we'll also stay around for any questions you may have, anything that we didn't cover during. So if you just jot down those questions or keep them in mind, and we will have time at the end for this, to answer those. So why the one-to-one, the purpose and goals? We could talk about this all night. There are so many different things and advantages to having students have personal access to a computer. But when I think about it, and I think of the areas of curriculum, instruction, and assessment, when we think about curriculum, a lot of the teachers will have all of their PowerPoints, their lectures, the videos of themselves teaching online, access to the worksheets, to the homework. So there's no more, oh, I forgot that book at home. Our textbooks have online access. They will have access to they could go online and get the actual worksheet, download that worksheet, do it, and actually email it. We could even go paperless. So in the area of instruction, all that stuff will be there. There's no more, I forgot my book, forgot my homework, forgot my pencil, all that's there. In the area of instruction, we've seen a lot of great things happening already in our classrooms. Mr. Groud is actually recording his responses to some of the writing that's happening and emailing audio files to the students. Lots of video happening, students working together, creating things together. Social studies, when they're studying the country, actually go on and talk to other 8th graders in that country, and rather than just seeing pictures of it in the textbook, they're actually able to talk to each other from people from that other country. And then in the area of assessment, we get instant feedback. When students take those assessments online, they get instant feedback on how they did, instantly scores, instantly keeps track of that data. And so that's just the beginning of a lot of the advantages that we foresee that will be able to be possible with this program. So rather than just learning from one book, we see them collaborating, analyzing, creating presentations, finding credible research, putting that together, putting lots of different ideas together to create meaningful rationalizations. Just a few of the advantages I see is a big advantage as far as connecting more with you as the parent. Being able for you to actually see some of the PowerPoints from the lectures that they're giving at school that day, for you to for the students to be able to keep better track of their own progress in school. We also see that the students become more self-directed. They have the tools now in front of them. They are able to download those activities from the day or rewatch a lecture that maybe didn't go so well. There's a site called Khan Academy, Khan, that we're working with a lot in our math classes. And a lot of the math assignments or the lectures, they can relearn, they can put in the objectives, multiplying fractions, and they can rewatch a lecture on the lesson for that day. So they can find ways to access additional information rather than just saying, I didn't get it in class, I don't know what to do. Personalizing the learning environment, and a little one, but really pretty important because we can do a lot through email now rather than just my dog ate it or I left it at home. And I do still hear my dog ate it. That's still around. Even with all the new things in education, I still hear the dog story. As far as teacher training, we've had 4 teacher training over the summer. Apple came in and they worked with us on Web 2.0 and then other sites that are relevant to the Common Core. Had a question the other night about what is changing in our teaching. As far as what we're learning, nothing's changing. We're still teaching to the Common Core standards that have been nationally approved. It's just how we get there and all the different ways that we can supplement those standards is what's changing for us. Lots of teacher collaboration. One big thing we're doing this year is we have one PE teacher. Who does he collaborate with? Well, now he can collaborate with the elementary PE teacher through Skype, and we can, get 3 or 4 PE teachers on Skype, or we can, get lessons from clear across the country based on a certain objective. So those teachers especially those teachers like guidance and art, who they're the only teacher in the building right now, have all kinds of ways to collaborate. So we did have some student input on what kind of training we needed, and we will continue with our professional development this year, and probably far into a lot of next year, through our professional learning communities, working on what kinds of technology are going to help our students go further in order to remain competitive in the 21st century. A lot of you, or I've heard from many of you wanting to turn off the computer at a certain time, which is completely understandable. Some of you are worried about sports activities at night. When they go to a sports activity that's away, we don't really want them taking on the bus, and Darwin will talk about that further in a little bit, but we will have them lock their computers in their lockers. Then the bus will come back to Meadows, and they will be able to get their computers, and they'll be picked up at Meadows. But if they have an assignment and it's due the next day, any assignment that's due the next day can also be completed using paper pencil. So we will not give assignments that they have to have the computer that night. Now your child will tell you they have to have it that night. But I'm telling you now, while you're all here, that won't happen. They can also do it with paper pencil for that night. Also, we are going to have access to computers. We open the building at 7, and so either before or after school, they can get on the computer they're at school. So nothing should be an emergency as far as I have to have that computer tonight, no matter what. So now I'm going to have Darwin come up and explain a little bit about the technical part.
Hi there, I'm Darwin Yassi, District Technology Director. Explaining a little bit about the program. First off, students have been learning some digital citizenship, some cyber safety skills in their 8th grade computer class with Mr. Ben Chadwick. We really feel it's important, since we're handing laptops out to the students, that we teach them the skills that are necessary, the responsibilities that go with the laptop. We all know that in this day and age that students use smartphones, they use tablet devices, your home computer. There's so many ways for them to access information on the internet. They belong to all these social networks. They're chatting all the time. They're sending text messages. So we need to teach them the skills of what is appropriate, what is not. And I think that's a very important thing in this one-to-one laptop program. Students are going to be given the laptops next week. They're going to be given the laptops during their 8th grade computer class. And I'm going to show you what all they're going to be getting here. First of all, they'll get their laptop. It's a MacBook Air 11.6 inch. It has no hard drive in it. It's a solid state drive. There's no moving parts. We went with the unit because of that. We've heard other districts, they've had a lot of issues with moving parts in the laptops, with the hard drive spinning, with the CD-ROM drive spinning. Always one of the first things that will go bad. And so we went with the solid state drives. Another thing that they'll be receiving is a flash drive. This is an 8 gigabyte flash drive. That will be used to back up their data. The students will be responsible to back up their data. And we will try to make it as easy as possible for them. We will show them how, when they get their laptops, that we can make it automated, so when they plug that flash drive in, it will back up their important data. They will also receive their power cord. The thing about the power cord, it comes in 2 parts. The first piece is basically just the power brick and the cord. On one end is the plug-in that just snaps up, and on the other end is the adapter that attaches to the computer, and it's a MagSafe adapter. It's actually magnetic, so when you get it close to the laptop, it'll just plug right into it. So it's a very nice adapter. It's meant so that if something got caught on the cord, it would easily come off without pulling the laptop off too. I'm sure you've experienced that before. Not very pleasant situation when a laptop falls on the floor because somebody's tripped on the cord. So that'll be provided, but if they need a longer cord at any time, there's a little duck head on the end of the power brick. And they can just pull that off, and then they can take their longer cord, put the extension right on the end, and then they have a longer cable. Some students may choose to never use that, which is fine. They can keep it in their bag. They can keep it at home if they wanted to, wherever's a safe place. Just the thing of it is, at the end of the school year, the whole thing will have to be turned back in to us. And the last thing they'll receive is their bag. Their bag also has their ID badge on it. And on the other side of the ID badge is actually the asset tag of the computer and the power adapter. They're the same number, so it'll be easy just by looking at the ID badge of whose computer bag that is. And we can easily match up computers with it. We'll also have an inventory of the serial numbers along with the asset tags. And I also have software that is already tracked and is inventoried all the machines, and it knows what asset tag belongs to what. The bag is pretty well padded. When the students aren't using the laptops, we like to make sure that they do go in their bags. Now, if they want to slide this in their backpack, no problem. But it needs to go in here. As I was saying, we do have everything marked. We're even going to mark the flash drives. We'll put their asset tags and marker on the flash drives. So everything is thoroughly marked, and we have record of it. Next week, when we hand these out, Mr. Chadwick and myself will be handing them out in the 8th grade computer class. We will also at that time take them through a PowerPoint of how to set up that computer the first time, putting in their username and password, getting the wireless set up, doing all those necessary items to get that computer fully operational at the beginning. A lot of things are already automated that they won't have to do a lot when we set them up for them. But we'll also at that time talk about care of the laptops and how they are to treat the laptops. And we'll go over a little bit of that here later too. Digital citizenship, the cyber safety, we'll continue to teach that throughout the year to the students because we feel that is very important. The laptop itself will also have internet filtering. It'll use the same filtering device that we use in our machines in the schools themselves. When they go home, it'll have that same internet filtering device. We cannot block everything, but we do our best. We go above and beyond what the government actually tells us that we have to block. So we try to make it as safe as possible for the students, but again, you as parents also have to take charge and be aware of what your students are doing on the laptop. And Mrs. Phillips always suggests, having that laptop used in a public place is always a great idea. Knowing your students' passwords is a great idea. At the end of the school year, the students will check the laptops back in. We will go through them to make sure everything's there, everything's functional. And the next fall, we will check those back out again to the students, and they will receive the same laptop. And we do that because the students will take ownership of these and understand this is my laptop not just this year, but I'm getting the same laptop next year. And schools have found there's a lot better care to those machines when that happens. At this time, I would like to go ahead and have Brian Weinthaler come up. He's going to talk about a website that we have, FAQs and resources.
Good evening. My name is Brian Weinthaler, and I do tech support for the district. I'm a technology specialist, support specialist for the district. If you've ever called about Alert Now, Infinite Campus, Forgotten Password, RevTrack, things like that, you probably at some point talked to me, and I do support those things. But also what I wanted to do is I wanted to provide some support for parents and teachers and students as far as one-to-one resources, understanding how to use it and what ways it can be used. If you look at the front page of the school website, there are two new links there, been there for a little while. One says one-to-one computer FAQ, and what those are is frequently asked questions. What we wanted to do and what we've done for about the last 6 months to a year is go out and look for questions that have already been asked, try to find answers, come up with our own answers that fit our district, and put them out there so that if you have a question, you go here first, find the answer. If the answer's not there, then, or maybe it jogs your memory, you want a different question, then we're going to give you a place where you can go to ask that question. This is just a list of questions and answers that we've come up with, that we've gone over, that we've revised, and there's quite a long list of them. And so we've tried to answer as many of the big questions as we think you might have. But we know we can't answer every single question. And that things are going to come up that maybe need to be clarified. And so what we've done is we've provided this link right here, which is an email link. If you click on that, it should launch your email, or you can cut and paste it into the to address of your email account. And that'll send a question to a place where Mr. Yossi, Mrs. Phillips, and myself all have access to it. It'll come to all of us. And we'll be able to see it, discuss it. Is it a question that Mrs. Phillips should answer? Is it a technical question for Mr. Yossi? Or is it more of a resource question that maybe I can help with? Or even a suggestion? We're going to continue to update this site throughout the year as we come across more questions, and we'll post those as people ask them. So you ask the question, what happens to it? If you ask a question, it goes to a place that's public that you can see. Once it's answered, you can go there and see the answer. So not only your question, but maybe others. And once it's answered, you'll be able to see the answer and be able to look at it and even go there to see other people's questions. The other link we have is a support site. And what I've tried to do is divide it into parents, students, and teachers. And each one has some of the same kinds of things, like how to take care of it, troubleshooting, things like that. But there's also some separate ones based on the audience. So for parent resources, we have the, like I said, care and maintenance troubleshooting. But there's also some links here about online safety, some of which we'll talk about tonight. The students also have some of those same links, but they also have some for resources. Let's say you have to do a presentation. Down here, there's some copyright-free sounds and pictures and videos that you can use. And over here, there's databases for like math and science and social studies, Library of Congress. So we place those there for you to use as a resource. And the same thing for teachers. And I've asked anybody that teaches an 8th grade student to keep me apprised. If you come across a site that you think is good or that you use in class, let me know, and so I can add it to this resource list. And this will hopefully help teachers maybe overcome some of their initial butterflies and how do I handle this? How do I use it? Yes, we got 4 days of training for them, but there's always going to be those moments when a teacher might say, how can I do better? How can I better use this resource? And finally, any paperwork that you may receive, any of the forms, the handbook, the policies, anything like that is also available online. And you can download those in PDF format. And now, we'll go back.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little about cyber safety. Again, as I pointed out earlier, it's very important that we teach students these skills, and we have been teaching them some of these skills. And we use a website called commonsensemedia.org. This is a free website full of curriculum for school districts in this area. They have lessons in safety and security, digital citizenship, and information literacy. Some of the topics here we've introduced to the students right away is the first unit on safety, safe online talk, security, talking about internet privacy, cautious when sharing data, and the last thing, security with internet privacy, strong passwords, private and personal information, because we all know that whenever we're going to a website and it asks us for information, we want to make sure that we only give them the very minimal amount. We don't want to give them anything that is not required to be a part of that website. Next thing I'd like to talk about is safeguarding your identity, and that goes along with keeping your personal information off the sites. Don't share your vital numbers. Be very cautious when sharing the data. And then you as parents need to establish house rules with your children when you're using the laptops. We also use a couple other sites for cyber safety and digital citizenship. One of them is a site called onguardonline.gov. And when you came in tonight, hopefully you picked up a pamphlet called NetCetera. This is a real good pamphlet that you can browse through here and even have some discussions with your students about different areas of cyber safety and digital citizenship. We also use another site, and it's called netsmarts411.org. And this is another great site full of materials. And most of these sites have materials not only for the students, but for teachers and for parents. So if you've never been to any of these sites, I would recommend you go out there and take a look at them. I mean, they just have great lessons about cyber safety and digital citizenship. Just to give you a taste of some of the curriculum that we are teaching the students, I'm going to show you a couple of the videos that come from commonsensemedia.org.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Dr. Johnson. You are the sunshine of our lives.
My name is Melina Johnson. I teach at Rancho Milpitas Middle School, and I teach English Language Arts and the AVID elective.
How many of you have a computer at home?
So the lesson I'm going to teach is on safe online talk. I'll start with getting sort of some background information from the kids about their online usage, how often they're online, how much time they spend online.
How many of you spend at least 30 minutes a day online? An hour? 2 hours? 3 hours? Oh my goodness, 4 hours.
We're using Common Core standards, and this has to do with reading for information in middle school. That's a big deal. Along with reading fiction, the students have to be able to read nonfiction, read for information. Can they provide evidence from the text? Can they make inferences based on what they've read, what they know, experiences that they've had?
So my next question then is, who do you talk to?
Our friends.
You talk to your friends. I think that's the number one answer, right? How many of you would say you're talking to your friends? Okay. Who else are you talking to? Be honest. JD?
Unknown people.
Unknown people, random people. How many of you have talked to people you've never met in person? It happens, right? It's expected. That's part of the beauty of being online, is I can learn from people that I can't communicate with on a daily basis.
We will go over the key vocabulary, make sure they understand the terms that I'll be using.
So the first word is inappropriate. It's probably a word you've heard many times here at school, right? We talk about inappropriate behavior. Risky means potentially dangerous. This term, online predator, refers to an adult who sort of stalks kids or teenagers on the internet.
We'll go through the list of the warning signs.
This is a big one. If they ask you to keep the friendship a secret, or your communication online a secret.
The kids have shared that they're really comfortable already with knowing that they shouldn't share personal information. But some of the more subtle things, some of the grooming that online predators tend to use, they're not as familiar with them. And we'll go on to the written scenarios. And in those, I want them to look for the warning signs that we've gone over.
At every table, you have 3 pieces of construction paper. You have a green one, a yellow one, and a red one. What do you associate these colors with? A stoplight. Green means go, red means stop, and yellow means it means what? Slow down, yes.
When you're online communicating with someone, these signs come up, these things happen. Do you give it the green light, keep communicating? Do you slow down and say, maybe I need to be more cautious, or do you stop and end all communication?
I'm going to give you about a minute or so to discuss with your group which color light you're going to apply to that situation. And I want you to be able to explain to me why you chose that color light.
I want them to sort of put themselves in the place of that character. What would you do if that was you? You know, would you continue on in that conversation? Would you stop? Would you tell an adult?
Discuss with your group to decide.
And they still met in
What if they met in person, he's older, like what if he's done that before or something?
So it still seems sort of odd that the adult wants to friend the 14-year-old.
I think the curriculum is extremely effective because we're not approaching it in a way that we're saying being online is bad. Stay away from the computer. Stay away from chat rooms.
yellow.
Everything's high tech now, so we're online more often and we get more careless of what we're doing. So I think that if we have these lessons, it'll remind us and caution us.
Why yellow?
Because him asking for the age was still one of the warning signs.
Okay, one of the warning signs, asking for personal information, right? Very good.
I think some of the kids understand that, okay, maybe this is a conversation I shouldn't have anymore, but they're not taking that extra step to tell someone else about it. So someone knows that they've had this experience.
What if he does this often? Because it's just that he wasn't.
Yeah, but if he did something else, like ask for personal information, that would be like more red-ish yellow.
It's good for people to be learning about this kind of stuff because it does happen in the real world and it's common, it's an everyday thing, and people should try and avoid that and stay safe.
This group had red. Why red?
Well, because even though it says didn't get too personal, she's still venting to him about like what's going on in her life and like what makes her mad or whatever. So if it's like at home and at school, then he's gonna know who those people are and then find out more that way without straight up asking.
Okay, so because she's venting, she might actually give personal information accidentally.
I'd say we're teaching them to be cautious, not to be scared. Because they can appreciate that we're not telling them, don't do this thing that you love to do, they're willing to listen.
Today he writes, can I show you a pic? Before she types the response, he says again, keep this private, okay? I like you, Kat. I hope you like me too. Everybody hold up your color.
If we can teach them to use these tools safely and in a positive way, they'll be okay. That they will make the right decisions when things seem inappropriate or risky or awkward, that they're going to back out of that situation.
I communicate online pretty much through Facebook.
My main way of communicating with my friends is over texting and a little bit of email and a little bit of Skype.
I like to use games to connect with people online. So when I accept a friend on Facebook, I primarily look at mutual friends, or maybe I'll be in Spanish class one day and some kid I've never even met before will look at my Facebook, and then we might become friends. Well, Friendless works on Xbox Live. It's sort of like Facebook, where you can send and receive friend requests from people you may know or don't know. And I mostly like to add people that I do know.
The way I get people's numbers is usually from school or if they put their number in my phone if we're like hanging out.
My interactions with people that I don't really know usually consists of me, not really paying attention to their Facebook as much until I sort of, get to know who they are, maybe in one of my classes or things like that. If none of my friends are online, I'm mostly just gonna play a random game, and I don't really have the intent to find a friend online.
When I was 11, I first got a Skype and it was the first time using it and some random person wanted to be my friend.
There was one time on Facebook where I kind of felt, uncomfortable. It was kind of an awkward situation. One awkward moment I've had online was I was playing in a game. This guy who I'd never met before had some name in a different language that I've never seen before, and he kept on adding me over and over again.
So I accepted it and they started to talk to me. And they asked me my age and I said 11 and they said, oh, I'm 12 and where do you live?
They were just using a lot of vulgar language, I guess, and trash talking a lot. And it was mostly directed towards me.
So they started talking to me and asking a lot of questions about me before I started asking questions about them. And so my mom got really freaked out about it, which looking back on it now, I can really understand why she got freaked out about that, because I did not know the person at all.
If just say you're online and someone's harassing you, you just don't really have to take it because the guy's maybe 50, 100 miles away, or you can just turn off your mic, just leave the game. If you ever find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, my advice is just to, if someone's harassing you or something like that, just stop talking to them. Just don't, listen to what they're saying and just ignore them.
When you know something's off when you're on Skype or texting, you kind of get this weird feeling this doesn't really seem right. I don't think I should be doing this. And when you get that feeling, that you should definitely shut off your computer or say goodbye on your texting or just don't respond at all.
Well, if you're just starting playing an online game, I guess, try not to make your name your actual name in real life, and don't give out any home address or phone number.
A cool aspect of being able to communicate with people that you don't know or like kind of like close, not close friends, is that you can get to know them better and maybe you can see their interest in what they want to do and like become actual friends with them.
I have some good friends who are from Redwood who I play basketball with, and I kind of got to know them a little bit better after we had a game, and I kind of liked their personality, and we started talking on Facebook, and now we're friends in real life.
I've talked to people from Qatar or England or something. It helps me just to see what get out of my little social box, I guess, where I live, and helps me see other places around the world and what it's like to live in places.
I think it really depends on who you're talking to, because if you're really close to someone, you know them, and you're just kind of exchanging, little cute little messages or something like that, it's not really an issue. But when it comes to talking to people you don't really know well, and you haven't really talked to in person, you never know how they're going to react and what kind of person they are, and if you really want to be talking to them because you haven't had a conversation with them in person. Whereas at the same time, it's great because you could make a connection that you wouldn't have made otherwise. So you really got to judge the situation day to day and, see what's best for you.
Just gives you a little taste of some of the curriculum that is on that website that we can share with the students. I want to next go to care and handling. There are some very important things about care and handling. Number one, we don't want to leave the MacBook Air unattended. We always want to make sure we know where that laptop is. We don't want to leave it in temperatures that vary a lot. They're very hot or very cold. We want to stay away from that. Don't leave them in the car, please. We know when it's hot like it was today, the temperatures in those cars can get extremely high. And the same thing in the winter time. We can have extremely cold temperatures. Next two things, don't feed it, don't water it. One of the things that creates a lot of damage to a computer is if you spill liquids on it. So try to keep the liquids far away from your laptop. If you would ever happen to spill liquids on your keyboard, the first thing that you want to do is to press that power button and get it off as fast as you can. We can't take the batteries out of these because they're internalized, but you would want to turn that laptop upside down to try to drain everything out as quickly as possible. And another thing you'd want to do, just get a little fan and have it blowing underneath that unit. And then let us know immediately so we can also take steps to try to help with that laptop fully recover. Don't place pencils or pens on the keyboards. One mistake that students have made in other school districts is leaving a pencil or a pen on that keyboard and then shutting the laptop. Okay? And there's been a lot of damage happening because of that. So don't get in a hurry. Slam that laptop shut. Make sure there's nothing on that keyboard before you close it. Next thing I'd like to talk about is charging. We expect the students have a responsibility to come fully charged in the morning. I know it says we can get up to 7 hours of battery life, but it's like anything else. That means at the optimum would be 7 hours. That doesn't mean that it's heavy used for 7 hours. So what we need to do is get in the habit of not keeping 10 applications open at a time if we don't need that. You don't need to keep your screen up to the brightest level all the time. If you're not using your laptop, put it to sleep, close the lid. Those are all ways that we can get as much out of the battery life as possible. Now, will there be days that you may not get through a full day in your battery? Yes. Yes, you may not get through a full day. And we do have stations in the room, you could plug them in. 8th grade computer class, we have plugs in every one of those desks in there. Media Center has some places to plug in. I know we have those round tables in there that you can plug in. So there are many places that we could, but we don't want the students to come with their laptop not charged. We don't have the places to charge all of their laptops. So we'd like to have them take the responsibility and be charged when they get there in the morning. Next thing I'd like to do is talk a little bit about cleaning. On the screens, please only use a soft microfiber cloth to clean the screen. If you don't have one or don't know what that is, students, please come by, see me in my office. I'll show you what one looks like. And if you actually want me to clean your screen because it's extremely dirty, I will do that. I would rather do that than have you use something on there that would scratch it. And please don't use any solvents or household cleaners. You can, on the outside of the laptop, take a very damp cloth, just make sure it's not dripping wet, and you can clean the outside of it, no problem. Just make sure there's no dripping water. There's also a website here you can go to. I think Brian has it in his resources for more laptop care. A couple other things. I mentioned the charging. Don't share your laptop. Keep in the bag when it's not in use, and treat it as if it's your own, because it really is for the next several years. So treat it like it is your own. If you have any issues with your laptop, the first thing I would ask you to do is to take that issue to your classroom teacher at the time. They might be able to have a simple fix for it. If not, the teacher will escalate the issue either to Mr. Chadwick or myself, or we're in the ground stages right now, but we have lined some students up from the high school, and they're going to get school to work credit, and they're going to be in a room that we have designated for a help desk. And we're going to try to have somebody in there in the morning for a few hours, in the afternoon a few hours, to help with those issues that might arise. And I'm going to work with those students, teach them some basic troubleshooting, and work hand in hand with them to try to solve some of the issues that you may have. I think it'll be a real benefit for us to have that. At this time, I would like to have Lori Phillips come back up, talk about your responsibilities.
Just a couple things. Be sure that you've turned in both of those forms for sure probably by the end of the week. So if you did not turn in those forms when you came in, just be sure you have them by the end of the week, because then on Tuesday we will be giving the laptop. So the one was the time if you want it turned off at a certain time, and the other one was just those initials down the side. So just be sure that those two get turned in. The final thing I would say is there was a time, a long time ago, that it was okay for students to have privacy. And it's just not okay anymore. You need to know their passwords. You need to be checking what they're doing online. You need to be checking their texts. You need to be checking that stuff. And I've dealt with lots and lots of technology issues as a principal, more in the last 5 years than ever before. So what I would just encourage you to do is always be checking, always be having those conversations, and be keeping those computers in a public place. At this time, you're free to go, but anyone who would like to ask questions, we are all here, and we will answer those as a group.
I got to ask some questions. Okay.
That's what I more than he wants, but it's very good. I mean,
The question is, can we take them to Washington D.C. for that trip? I haven't thought of that question yet. Give me a day to think about that.
about cross-country?
Once the laptops have been handed out, rather than the bus going to South Prairie from Dallas Center, it will be dropping off at Meadows. Is that how you understood it, Darla? Yep. Oh, Jeff. I think that's different now that the laptops are out. After games, transportation from cheerleaders.
You know where we can turn in the paperwork?
I think there are secretaries out at the table right outside.
Okay, thank you.
So.